Every day, we fill our heads with things like Twitter, Instagram, and the news, and even talking to one another. We are constantly ingesting information even if we don't realize it. When many of you first wake up in the morning, the first thing people do is check their phones. All over the internet are individuals posting photos of their amazing lives, of how they are living out their American dream, or the new controversial issue in politics. Information can change people's perception, and the media that is available today helps and assists that. Therefore, the world and society's views are shaped by high powers in the government and the quest for the American dream. One of the biggest impacts that humans experience today is the way information interferes with our perception of reality, especially from people in higher positions of power or in the government. For example, in Harris and Bergeron, all people are told they have to be equal by the government. The info that they are given shapes everyone to think that they can't excel and be themselves. As a part of the play says, nobody was smarter than anybody else, nobody was better looking than anybody else, nobody was stronger or quicker than anybody else. Because the government told the citizens that they had to be equal, it altered their own opinions of reality. In another text, 1984 by George Orwell, the party monitors all information that citizens receive, making them very sheltered and brainwashed. One passage says, "Who controls the past," ran the party slogan, "controls the future. Who controls the present controls the past. And yet the past, though of its nature alterable, never had been altered. Whatever was true now was true from everlasting to everlasting. It was quite simple. All that was needed was an unending series of victories over your own memory. Reality control, they called it. In Newspeak, doublethink." End quote. The government altered everything that its citizens ingested, therefore their perception of reality was altered. Another overwhelming piece of information that all Americans are aware of is the American dream. For decades, all American citizens have strived for the same thing, and because of that, the pursuit of the American dream alters their perception of reality. In America vs. Americans by John Steinbeck, he describes how much the idea of the American dream consumes people. A quote says, "One of the generalities most often noted about Americans is what we are, a restless, dissatisfied, searching people. We brittle and balk under failure, and we go mad with dissatisfaction in the face of success." End quote. All Americans push themselves as far as they can to change their own reality, even if it isn't attainable for them. Another example of how the American dream alters the perception of reality is in Death of a Salesman. Willie is obsessed with the American dream, and it alters his perception of what most American lives are like. A quote says, "Biff Loman is lost. In the greatest country in the world, a young man with such personal attractiveness gets lost, and such a hard worker. There's one thing about Biff, he's not lazy." End quote. Willie begins to think that even if you just have a good personality and good looks, you will achieve the American dream. Our world and views are shaped by the information that we're exposed to every day. Humans ingest massive amounts of information daily, but many people don't realize the effect that the info can have on their own perspectives and opinions. In The Tipping Point, the author describes when an idea reaches its tipping point. A quote says, "The tipping point is the magic moment when an idea, trend, or social behavior crosses a threshold, tips, and spread like wildfire." End quote. The media, which helps us get our information, does this. News gets to the public and it automatically has an impact on their views and opinions. As previously stated, when people of higher power or in the government give information to the public, it hits its tipping point, which can consume everyone's reality, which morphs their own perspectives. Everything in everyone's lives are shaped by higher powers and the quest for the American dream. So the next time you go to bed, think about everything you learned that day.